Yeah, I started. Yeah, bye.
ఆడు కనబడితే
So, good morning, everyone. I hope you are all doing great. So, I welcome today for this Python basic section. So, let me introduce myself. I am GC Rahul. I'm a Python and Django full stack web development trainer, having 5 years of experience, and I have been associated with the MJIT from the past 2 years. So, today's agenda is about the basics and also the very basics of Python. So, we will start by the slide presentation. So, yeah, about myself. So as I said, I'm a Python full stack web developer trainer, having 5 years of experience and 2 years of experience and associated with the MJIT. So I will move on to the section, and the first thing is agenda. So what we'll be discussing under today's section. So we'll be going on what is a computer, what is Python, and why should kids learn Python, and the fourth one is what's the best way for kids to learn Python, and fifth one is utilize gamification, best Python games for the kids, like playing games and creating games in the Python programming language. And the sixth one is other helpful Python activities for the kids. So we'll move on from first one to the last one. So we'll see first of all what is a computer. So what is a computer? A computer is an electronic device that manipulates information or data. It has ability to store, retrieve, process data. So the first line says that it has the ability to store. So think that you are using a normal PC in your home as of a student. So if you want to store your project or your documents, or a simple example, if you want to store your photos or videos which was taken in the marriage or an event or a party, so it can be stored in a digital format. So the computer helps us to store your data, and also if you want to retrieve the data, retrieving means we want to get the data from the system. So it will be in the C drive or D drive. So what we will do, we will enter into the C drive. The data is in the C drive, like your photos or images. We are going to the C drive and retrieving that images, and also it process data. The simple example of process data is, take an example of addition, subtraction, multiplication, or any, if you want to play the chess game, or if you want to play any other games like your YCT or any other small or large games. So it would process the data. On the next thing is, you may already know that you see a use of computer to type documents, send emails, play games, and browse the web. You can also use it to edit and create spreadsheets, presentations, and even videos. So we'll discuss, the first thing is type documents. Yes. So in most of the government offices, or in your schools or any private officer, you see some of the documents. So how these documents are being printed? These are being printed using the computer. And the second one is sending emails. You know, all the world are using now the Gmail, the most popular email site. So we know how to send an email from one person to another, and to receive the mail from another person to ours. And the third one is playing games. So we all love playing games. Like from our childhood, we used to play outdoor games, indoor games. So nowadays, most children are focusing on playing the games in the internet. So you can take many examples like your YCT, and also the very most popular game, that is uh, GTA San Andreas, and also the PUBG, and moreover Free Fire. There is Asphalt, and also there are a lot of games like previously we had in our mobile consoles, like the Mario game, the Snake game, which is most popular in the Nokia devices. So there are lots of devices which holds data, and also we can play games. Like most of the students would play games in the Sony PS5. Yeah, most of the students or the children are playing games, are they are much more familiar, and they can easily handle the control buttons in to play the game, and also to browse the web. Yeah, students, most of the students in the schools are given some of the projects to go for environmental science and get the details. So what we'll do, we'll actually go to the system and enter the URL, and we retrieve the data from the web. And the next thing is spreadsheets. Yeah, spreadsheets is nothing but your Excel sheets. So Excel sheets is somewhat little bit advanced. And then the next thing is presentation. So you can see the PPT which I'm using. So this, it comes under the presentation, and even the videos. So we all love watching the videos of movies, and we all love watching the videos of TikTok, which are the short videos, and also we love the videos which are posted in the YouTube, and also we are allowed to watch movies, web series in the Amazon, Flipkart. So this all comes under the computer. So we can do anything and everything like typing documents, sending emails, playing games, browse the web, prepare a spreadsheets and prepare a presentation in order to give the information what you are having, and also we can watch the movies, and the more important thing is we can store the emails, the photos and the videos in our system. So okay, we have now learned about what is a computer and what are the essential things does a computer do. So we will move on to the next one, that is what is the difference between hardware and a software. So yeah, so we will see what is a hardware and also what is a software. Before we walk about different types of computers, let's talk about two things about all the computers. Yes, even the laptop or a desktop or a tab or anything, this or a mobile phone also. You can take a simple example of a mobile smartphone like your Apple, Samsung, Xiaomi, and also Nokia phones. They are they have two common things, that is hardware and software. So we will see what is an hardware, and then we'll look on to the next one, that is what is a software. So see, a hardware is any part of computer that has a physical structure such as a keyboard or a mouse. So you can see the right side image which I'm pointing now with my cursor, that it shows this is an computer. So you can see it has a monitor, it has a CPU, it has a keyboard, and also it has a mouse. So these all things comes under one, that is called as hardware. So another definition for the hardware is the parts we could touch and feel. So that means if you touch the CPU, we can feel it is so hard. If you touch the mouse, it moves. And if you touch the keyboard, when we touch the keyboard, the buttons are pressed in the keyboard. So this means we can easily understand that a hardware system which can be seen and which can be touched and also which can be felt. And then it also includes all computer internal parts. Yes. So don't think that whatever we see outside is an hardware system, but there are lots of things inside the systems. Like you can take example of your monitor. So the monitor consists of LCD or LED or IPS or even OLED panels. So background of that they'll be having the PCB, that is printed circuit boards. It also comes under the hardware. There are also contains the HDMI 2 ports and also Ethernet ports and many other power cables and all that. So these are the some of the internal parts, but it also comes under the hardware section. So and this is all about the hardware. So I would give some of the examples of the hardware, such as you can take your monitor, you can take your television, you can take your projector screen, you can take your CPU, you can also take example of keyboard, you can also take example of your joystick, you can also take your example of printer, scanner, mouse, speakers, headphones, everything which you feel and whichever you can touch, that comes under the hardware. So now we will move on to the next one, that is the most beautiful thing in the software industry, which is software. A software is a set of instructions that tells the hardware what to do and how to do. So let me give a simple and straightforward example of what is a set of instructions. So take example of a game, or else if you take example of a video that is being stored in our system. So take example, we have a movie that is called Avatar or Transformers or any Tollywood or Indian movie. So if you press on the play button, it would play. So we are telling to that system that you are giving some instructions. If I press this button, it should play. When we cancel, it would cancel. Or in a simple example, take a game in your mobile device. If you press the arrow up, the character in the game will move upside. If the press down button, the character will move downwards. If we press left, it would move left side, and if we press right, it would move right side. And also there are many instructions we can give. If you want to give the instructions of a character, like if you press jump, the character it will jump. If you press shoot button, it will shoot with a gun or any rifle. So now we have understood that what are a set of instructions. Like if you, or if in a clear way, a set of instructions means that, take a student as an example. So the teacher is telling that go to the board and write I am Naresh. You can see how the teacher is instructing to a student that go to the board and pick a chalk and write your name, I am Naresh. So these are comes under a set of instructions. Or else you can take a real world example of certain instructions is that when you're going, when you're in the home, your mother or father tells that go to the shop beta and bring 1 kg of rice. So what we'll do, we'll listen to the instructions, we'll take money, and also we'll take a carry bag, and we'll move out from the home, and then we'll head directly to the shop, and we'll tell that I need 1 kg of rice, and we'll give the money, and the same way we would come back to the home. So see here, we are following a certain instructions by given by our father or mother, that we need to go to the shop, buy the rice, and bring it to the home. So in this way also, in the same way, a software is any set of instructions. We tell the software that to do this, to play a video, it will play the video. If you play an audio songs, it would play the audio songs. If you want to create an Excel sheet or a spreadsheet, it would do that in the same manner. So there is nothing difference. So whatever we are giving the instructions, or else if you say simple example, if you want to add addition of two numbers, take a simple digital calculator. So if you want to add like 1000 plus 10,000, we have given instructions that we want to add two numbers. Take example of 100 and 200, we want to add the two numbers, so we will be using the plus symbol to add. So what the digital calculator will do, it will follow the instructions. First it would place 100 and then place 1000, so it would add two of them, and it will give the output as 1100. So in this way you can easily understand what are set of instructions. So, and what to do and how to. So example, software includes web browsers, games, and word processor. So the simple example you can see at the right side is the most popular game in India, that is the Free Fire, where we can play with the opponents, and we can have lots of fun, and also we can spend our leisure time playing the games. So there is something called that playing games would actually increase the memory power, and also increase the reflexes of our brain. So see here, he is a person, and it shows that it's a fast-paced action thump in 10 minutes. So the girl is running. So this is a piece of software. You can consider the piece of software like your Mario, that is a game, and also the Snake, which is a game, and also the browser, that is a Chrome browser. And also you can take an example of some of the browsers like Microsoft Edge, and also Mozilla Firefox. So everything, each and everything you comes under the browser itself or the software. If you take a browser, it comes under the software. If you take a game, it comes under the software. If you take word processors, it comes under the software. Or else, if you want to, if you are having a video player, it comes under the software. You are having an audio player, it comes under the software. So everything inside the system is a software. So I will give you simple example for a software, that is the thing which we can see but we cannot feel. That means we can't touch the software. So that is comes under the software. So I have already said that what is a hardware. The hardware is a physical structure, and that we can touch and feel. And what is a software? A software is a set of instructions, and also the difference is we can't touch the software and we can't feel the software. Only we can see the software like your Free Fire, PUBG, Vice City, and any other browsers like Chrome browser, games, and uh, other things. So everything you can do in your computer with will rely on both hardware and software. So if you compare, the upper one is the hardware and the down part is the software. Think that you have a system but it doesn't have a software, so that is useless. Think that you are having a software but you don't have an hardware or a system, that is also completely useless. So if you want to have, if your system having both hardware and software, then only it's called as a computer, then only it will be called as a computer. The combination of both the hardware and software is called as a computer. So now we will move on to the next one. Yeah, so the next one is languages. So we have seen the agenda. The second one is languages. So we will see what is a language. A language is mode of communication that is used to share ideas, opinions with each other. So simply you can take an example as a school student or a college student or a school children. So think that you are in a class 6, 7 or 8 or 4. So you know how to speak. So your mother tongue is uh, Telugu, and there is a new student in a class and his mother tongue is Tamil or Malayalam. So think that in a case you want a notebook or a pen or a pencil. So if you tell him in your mother tongue, he won't be able to understand that I want pen, I want book, or I want your eraser, or I want your uh, any other uh, goods. So he would be able to understand. Also, if you want to share any idea, or else you say that I want to play a game, so I'm only one person to play chess. Will you please play chess with me? So if you convey this in a Telugu language, but the other person uh, is your opponent and he doesn't know the language which you are speaking, so it makes very disturbing, and also he won't be able to understand what you are saying. So for that reason, what we require a language for communication. So now this is the second example of the language, that if you're in the class 5th or 6th. Let us think that you know English and you have nice communication skills in English, and the other person also having nice communication skills in English. So then we'll see the same scenario as the first example. So think that, hey friend, I need a book and a pen. I would return tomorrow morning. So the other person, the opponent, will understand, okay, my friend is asking a book and pen, and he would return in the coming next day morning. So this makes easy for you to communicate. So we need a language for communication. So these are the two examples where there is no language of communication and there is a language for the communication. And also the second thing is you can share ideas. So also we will take the same example as previous one. You know how to speak English, and the other person also how to speak English, and you want your friend to play. So what we do, the simple example is that, hey friend, I'm playing chess and I need an opponent to play chess. So the next thing, he would understand and he would play with you. So this is a real example what is a language and what is the use of language for the communication. And the next thing is sharing opinions. Opinions means nothing but you're saying, okay, I need if there are two people, one people want to play chess, so he would say to the other people, hey, I want to play chess, would you like to play chess with me? Now you're sharing your opinion on that. So other person would say, yes, I would like to play chess with you, or else he would deny simply, no, I don't want to play chess and I don't know chess. So this is called sharing opinion with each other. So for example, if you want to teach someone, we need a language that is understandable by both communicators. That means if there are two students who having knowledge and also skills to speak in the English, that would be very good for them to communicate with both of them. Okay, this is something which is related to our common daily life. So that means a common example. So what is the second one is, what is a programming language? So think that now you are using your mobile phone or laptop or tablet or desktop to see and to understand what is the basics of Python. Okay, now you say that if you say to a computer that I want to play something, I want to watch the video, would it understand? No, it won't understand because it doesn't know your language. Because we in India, it is a multilingual language. That means there are more than uh, 300 languages with scripts and more than 1600 languages without scripts. So that means the computer won't able to understand these multiple languages. So for that, what we require a programming language. So we'll see what is a programming language, and they'll move on to example of a programming language. So as we know, to communicate with a person, we need a specific language. Yes, if there are two persons to communicate, they require English, or the person should know Tamil, Hindi, Telugu. Then only they can understand what the other person is willing to say or what the other person is asking. And then similarly, to communicate with the computers, programmers also need a computer language, needs a language is called as programming language. Okay, so now we have to understand. So if you want to require, if so I would give a simple real life scenario of a programming language. That is, I'm a person and I want to go to shop and I want to buy a bicycle. So I would communicate with him with my mother tongue. So take example of English itself. So I'm asking that I need a bicycle of my height and please show me the bike. So he would understand the language, and in return he would give me the bicycle by taking the money. So here the language is a barrier, and also the language would help two persons to talk and also to make the business. In the same way, the computer or laptop or anything which has two things. So that is, a computer is an hardware and we the person. But if you say that I want to watch a movie, it would understand. No, it won't understand because, as I said, there are many languages in the world. So for that reason, the programmers and the developers had designed a common language so that even a system could understand what we are telling. So when all this, I mean, this is programming language. And then now, if the computer has a software and a programming language, and now the computer will understand. Okay, now I want to play a video. Okay, it play when we press the button, it would play the video. When we want to save a picture in a system, it would save the image in the system. And then if when we want to play a game, we will just double click on that and we'll move the arrow keys and also some of the buttons to play the game. So what internally is, we are communicating with the computer with the help of the programming language. So this is important, and which helps user and the computer to communicate. So Is the example of a programming language. And now we'll move on to the next one. Before learning the programming language, let's understand what is a language. Okay, now we will see what is a programming language. Okay, we have already said that programming language which helps us to communicate with the computer to the user, or the user to the computer. Okay, we have discussed what is a programming language, and what are the uses of programming language is that it would communicate between the system and the user. Now the next one is, what is a programming language? A programming language is a computer language that is used by the programmers or developers to communicate with the computers. So what is a programming language? A programming language that is used by the programmers or developers to communicate with the computer. So it is a set of instructions written in any specific language. So what is this? It is it is a set of instructions. So we have earlier discussed what is a programming language. A programming language is a set of instructions that tells a computer what to do. So the same thing also here. It is a set of instructions written in specific language, that is C, C++, Java, and Python, to perform a specific task. Yeah, we are giving the instructions to a computer to do some of the things like playing a video, playing a audio song, or we want to play a game. It would take the instructions and it would execute the instructions. Now we will move on to the next one. Next slide. Excuse me. If you see these three people below the paragraph, so most of the people are familiar, but few of the people are not familiar. So I would just elaborate about them by one. So the first one is Mark Zuckerberg. The second one is Bill Gates, and the third one is Steve Jobs. Are just a few examples, but there are a lot of persons. Like you take example of founder of Instagram, and also if you take example of an YouTube, and also if you take example of an uh, uh, AMD, Intel. So these are the people who love to code, who love to program. And the second thing, they got excited about coding by building a small but fun and personal object. So at the starting of their age, they were very excited, fascinated about the computer programming language. So how they have built with a small applications, and also some of them built their own game that they would require with their own options, and also personal projects. So if they want to have a project by the school, they could design the projects with their skills. So dreaming up a game or a website. So take example of, if you want to build a game on website, they would actually build the game and website at the very young age. Like you can take at the age of 9 years, 10, 11, 12, 13. So at that age, they were able to build a small and little bit games and websites, and then futuring out how to build it might be the most effective way to master a programming language like Python. So to master a language, that means if you want to build a big application like your PUBG game, a Free Fire game, or an operating system like the Windows, or an operating system like the Mac OS, or an application like the Facebook, they have learned and they mastered the programming language. like the Python. So there are many other languages, but since we are having this section on Python, so I would give most of the examples of Python. So it's often necessary to learn the basics before beginning. So we need a very basic thing. No, very basic thing before the beginning, but it's possible to be proficient enough to build impressive programs in just a few weeks. Yes, by having the interest in the programming language, even a student of a school or a college could build an application or a website in a just few weeks of matter, in a matter of few weeks. So the first person you can see is the Mark Zuckerberg, and you can see behind him is the Facebook. So most probably now the school students are also aware of what is the Facebook. So Facebook is a social app which is used to communicate with our friends who are nearby us, who are far away from us, or any place. So he is the person called the Mark Zuckerberg, built the Facebook in the year 2005, and he launched in the year 2006. And now there are more than 200 million users daily, and he is responsible for running the Facebook. So he started this Facebook application when he was in the college. He started the Facebook application when he was in the age of his college. And then the second person we all know from our childhood, that is Bill Gates. So we had a lot of time, that is who is the founder of Microsoft, who is the founder of Windows operating system, and also most of the teenagers of that, who is the world's richest person. So these all titles comes under the one person, that is Bill Gates. Bill Gates is the founder and co-founder of the Microsoft, which was started earlier in 1970s. So he also was very fascinated to learn about the programming languages, and he was very fascinated to see how a digital machine like a computer or a video game would work. And then he learned the programming from the schooling itself. When he was in the school, he used to write a small programs with the C and other languages at the age of the school. You can think that this person was not having skills in the college, but he was having the skills at a very young age. He started to code in his school section itself, and then he moved on for building a large amount of softwares, and then he built the first operating system for the IBM, and then he built the first operating system and he released to the world, that is Windows. That was the first software which was released by the public, and from that day today to till date, the Microsoft was skyrocketed in entire world. So because it was having a great interface, if you see and open a computer, we could see the icons on the left or the bottom, and we could see an image, and inside that there are a lot of things. So we think that what we see is a software. No, the software is also behind. So how it works: when we press a button, it plays. When we press a video button, when you if you want to watch a video, if we press that button, simultaneously it plays the video and also audio in a synchronization. So that means you can understand how a software was built by the Microsoft and his team to work very efficiently. So moreover, Microsoft has a large market capitalization of 86% in the world, or more than 86% in the world uses the Microsoft built Windows operating system, not only for the PCs, also for the tablets, laptops, and also for the servers and also for the mainframes, the Microsoft Windows is the key software to use. And we'll move on to the third person on the right side, that is Steve Jobs. He is my inspiration after the Bill Gates, because once he said that in a meeting, if we want to have a good software, we need to build our own hardware. So this was the most uh, beautiful quotation given by him. And also the Steve Jobs was very fascinated by the software. He used to learn the software, he used to learn the programming, he used to build his own hardware. So it helped him to capture the market. And he also learned the very basics of the programming language at a very basic young age. And he started the company Apple at his college days with he and his friends. And also he is the founder and also the chairperson so of Apple. And there are many more Apple devices that are most probably you all know that we see Apple iPhone, which runs under iOS, and also we see MacBook Air and also iMac, which runs under the MacBook. And also the most popular and the first electronic music player device that could store more than 1,000 songs. And also we can held in our pocket, that is the iPod, which was actually designed by the Apple company. So there are a lot of exciting things. And also they were ahead of the most of the companies in the Apple. And it is the first company to reach 1 3 trillion market cap. So how this how these people like the Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, and then the Bill Gates of Microsoft, and Steve Jobs from the Apple, how they started their career. They started their career at the very young age, at the very young age of a school children. They started at that time to learn the coding languages. Now we all know, and the world knows who are this person and how this person became very famous in this world. So these are the persons also the most influential, and so they are the philanthropists, and also they play a key role in the software industry, and they're also the titans in the software industry. So now we'll move on to the next slide. So now we'll see the next one is utilize gamification. So the best Python game for kids. So now I will play a video. So this video will explain you about how a game which is built using the Python, sorry, or any other programming. So now you would understand how the games are being built without a programming language. So here it goes.
Hi, welcome. We are going to be making a simple apple catch game in under 5 minutes. Right, so you're going to want the apple and bowl sprite from the juice sprite. They are on the food category, so make sure you go and hit those balls and do that. Once you've done that, you're going to go on the
So now
apple.
he's picking
When
the
flag
apple and
hit,
making some of
you
the
are going to
drag and
hide
drops,
the
or else
sprite
you can code. But these are basic for the kids to build how
forever.
a game is being made.
We're going to create a clone of myself, and we're going to get the weight block. Just go control in. And now we're also going to go, and for the bowl, all you're going to want to do is flag clicked forever. But before this, set Y to mouse Y. Now if we do this, as you can see the apple kind of go like that. Oh yeah, that's Y position. Just do mouse X and change the set Y to a set X. So once you've got set X to mouse X, and set Y to -100, you should have this, and you can move it left and right to try and catch the apples. So yeah, now I'm going to go onto the apple sprite, and yeah, we've done this. I'm just going to go, when I start as clone, go to Y200 and X. Pick random -150 to 150. I'm also going to want to show. And repeat until Y position is less than what's the bowl? The bowl's -100, so we'll just do 150. We are going to change Y by -10. Maybe not 10, maybe 7. Let's try that. They're doing that, but oh yeah, we need to change this to -150. They are dropping down. Maybe set this a bit higher to what you want, but that'll work. -80, and then maybe 130. Oh yeah, sorry, we can do 150. We just have to delete the clone after, don't we? So if you try this, oh yeah, also you have to put an if statement in the repeat until, and go make sure you show this variable, and then over here make it a large readout up here, and then you can go with right click set to 0, if change by 1, and the if statement can be touching bowl. Now try this. We have a simple apple catch game in Scratch, and if you want, you can make them spawn quicker, and you can choose any backdrop you want, or if you want, you can go to fill bitmap, and then you can fill the background whatever this color is. You can make it gradient. You could make it like this if you wanted to. And then try this, and voila! Apple catch game in Scratch. And if I check, yeah, it's the 5-minute mark. So if this helped you and you enjoyed and you used it, please subscribe, like, and comment what else you want me to do. So yeah, thanks for watching, and bye.
So now you have understood how the game is being using the programming language skills without coding. So I would explain what he was doing.
Hi, welcome.
Was actually having a bowl and apple. So when the bowl is placed below the apple when it was coming, he would score 1 point.
They are on the food category.
If he would catch the second one, he would score 2 points. And if he go on catching n number of apples, his score would be increased. When he misses the apple, his score
folder.
won't be
I'm
calculated.
gonna quick clone
So
myself.
I will
I'm
just
going to
skip that video
in the if
till the
statement.
end and see here.
Oh,
And this left side with a few simple things he have coded, and the right side he's playing how he's showing how the game is being built. So now I'll play this. Now we can understand.
now try this.
See here he has now playing from the starting. You can
We
see
have
the
a
score
simple
1,
apple catch
2,
game
3,
in Scratch.
4, 5,
And if you
6,
want, you
7,
can
8.
make them spawn
So how
quicker.
the score is being increased you
And
can
you
see
can
visually.
choose any
So
backdrop you want.
in this way, without a coding
Or if you
knowledge
want, you
also,
can
to learn
go to
programming
fill,
skills,
bitmap, and then
we
you
are
can
going
fill
to
the
have
background whatever this
started
color is.
our
Make
classes
it gradient.
with the scratch.
You could make it like this
So now we'll see a moving real game.
if you wanted to.
So now see here.
And then try this. And voila.
In a
Apple
within
catch game
span of
in Scratch.
3 or 4 minutes,
And if I
he
check,
has created a game.
yeah,
See here.
it's
If
the
he's
fighting
catching the
part.
apples with the ball,
So
he's
if this
increasing the
helps
score.
you and
If
you
he's missing the
enjoyed
apple,
and you used it, please
the score
subscribe,
is
like, and
at a
comment below if you
stagnant
want
point.
me to do. So yeah,
So in this way,
thanks for watching,
without any
and
coding
bye.
knowledge, even the school kids or the school children can also learn the programming skills. So now I will move on to the next slide. So now the next one is in the agenda, that is Python. So we will see what is Python. So first thing, the Python is one of the most widely used and user-friendly programming language. Yes, it is a widely used and also it is a user-friendly programming language. It is an open source and easy to learn programming language developed in the year 1990. So it is an open source and that is means it's a free of cost. They don't charge anything for providing the software, and also it was developed in the year 1990s. It's the mostly used in machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data, graphical user interface based desktop application, and also in the robotics. So this is used in the machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data, and graphically built desktop applications. That means games or websites, and also robotics. So in future, if you want to become a robotic engineer or else an artificial intelligence engineer or else a machine learning engineering, you can become through the Python. So now we'll see what are the advantages of Python. So Python is ready to use, easy to understand, and easy to write. So the first point, which is the Python is easy to read, easy to understand, and easy to write. And the second thing, it integrates with other programming languages like C, C++, and Java. If you want to use other programming languages like your C++, C, and Java, you can integrate with the Python. And then the next thing is Python executes code line by line. That means take example of 10 lines. So how the Python code is executed from the line 1 to line 10. So it will execute the line 1 and then the line 2 and then the line 3, line 4, line 5, line 6, line 7, line 8, line 9 and line 10. So in this manner it would execute its programming language. So far it is easy for a programmer to understand the error that occurred in the code. So if you go on verifying from a line by line, it would be easier to find the error in our notebook. So take example, we have written a paragraph and there is a mistake. So what we do, we will start from the line 1, would read line by line, line by line, line by line, and will see for errors and would rectify errors easily. In the same way, the Python also does the same thing as a student. So the Python would do same as the student, like it would verify an error in a line by line manner from the line 1 to line 10. It would check each and every line to understand where the error was occurred. And then Python is platform independent, means you can write the code once and you can run anywhere. So there are two things, that is platform dependent and platform independent. So dependent means it should be used only on the device. If you use that in any other device, it won't run. So that is very difficult for any programmers or developers in any case. So for that reason, Python is platform independence. That means if you created a program in Python in your computer, and if you want to execute that program in another computer, it would work without any error. So that is comes under the platform independent. And then Python is unique in that it is easy to understand. Yes, Python is very unique and easy to understand. Even kids with no programming language experience. So we have seen earlier the Apple game. So it was actually built by an 9 years old kid with having no experience to build the programming language. So what he did, he simply drag and drop some of the conditions and loopings, and he built successfully the Apple game, the Apple catching game. So even for the kids with no programming language, the Python is the first programming language comes under their preference. So we recommend Python for kids because some languages use a perplexing combination of symbols and abbreviations. So if you take C language, C++ or Java, they are somewhat more complex to understand because of their symbols and abbreviations. But Python doesn't, because it is a very simple language. Even a school kid of 7 years or 8 years would understand easily the Python language. So now we have seen what is Python and what and where the Python is being used, like machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data, and graphical desktop applications and robotics. And we have seen the advantages of Python, like it is easy to read, easy to understand, and easy to write, and integrates with other languages like C++, Java, and other languages. Also, it is easy to execute because it follows a line by line error. And the fourth one, it is a platform independent. That means if you write program in one computer, we can execute in anywhere, any computer. And the last para, which tells us that even the kids without having the programming language knowledge, they can use the Python to learn. So we will move to the next slide. The next slide is Python is surprisingly easy to learn. Yes, sub- Python is surprisingly very easy to learn, and then so it's a good choice for kids. That means not only the programmers, not only for the students who are studying in the BTech or MSc or MTech to learn the programming language, even a kid also could learn the Python programming language. It was written to be more readable and intuitive than similar backend languages. So it was written more for a readable purpose. So that means if you see something, you would understand, and also if you know, you can execute that program. So that comes under readable, and then intuitive, similarly backend programs. And then the next one, there are 5 core concepts that your child can learn to develop the solid foundation. So these are the 5 key things to learn Python. So what are those? The first one is data types, second one is the variables, third one is the functions, fourth one is the loops, and the fifth one is modules. So comparingly, if you learn the data types, variables, functions, and loops, that is enough that you have learned the Python programming language. And the last one is the modules. If you learn the modules also, you would be a better Python programmer. So now we will see one by one what is data types, variables, functions, loops, and the modules. So I will move on to the next slide. So data types. A data type is a classification of data that tells your compiler how to use a piece of data. It determines what values an object can have and the operations can be performed on it. So, so we'll see the first one, that is a data type classification of data that tells your computer how to use a piece of data, and it determines what values an object can have and operations. So what are the operations we can do? We can do that operations there. And then most programming languages support basic data types such as numbers, characters, and booleans. So if you see here in Python, there are standard data types kids should be familiar with. So first one is integer. Like if you want to store a number, you can go for integer. If you want to store for the decimal or float, you can store like example of 20.5. Or else if you want to store a string, you can store a string by like MJIT. And then the fourth one is a list. That is a combination of strings. You can take it as a combination of strings like apple, banana, and cherry. And next one tuple, apple, banana, cherry, and the last one is dictionary. So I would explain each and everything: integer, float, string, list, tuple, and dictionary. So take an example of a student. Of a student, uh, a basic example. He wants to carry his tiffin to school. So how he would carry his tiffin? He would carry his tiffin in a tiffin box. Yes. So to carry his tiffin or lunch, there is there is something which is used to carry. And also take example of if you want to store water or if you want to store the oil. So what we require? We require a jar. So without the jar, can we store? No, because it would spill out. So in the same way, the Python is also a student. So what it requires? It requires to if it wants to store an integer, it requires an integer. If it wants to store a decimal, it requires a float. If you want to store MJIT, it requires a string. If it requires a list of strings, it would take a list, and also tuple, and also dictionary. So for dictionary, you can take example of a real word dictionary. If you want to check what is an apple, it would show apple is a fruit. And also the second thing, what is banana? Banana is also fruit. And then the third one, what is a motorcycle? A motorcycle is an automobile which is used for transportation. This is example of a dictionary. So I will move on to the next slide. So see here, we have now completed the data types like integer, float, string, list, tuple, and dictionary. And we'll move on to the next one, that is variable. So see here, variables are containers that hold a value, such a piece of text or a number. So I would explain with the real example. So think that I'm a student of some school or college and I want to carry my lunch or breakfast to school. So how? How do I carry? I'm using a box to carry my food. Here you can see I'm using a box to carry my food. Also, if I want to carry an apple juice or any kind of orange juice, what I'm using a glass to carry. So in the same way, the Python variables. So what the Python variables? It, if you want the Python, it if the Python wants to store anything, it would use a variable. So think that X is a tiffin box and 5 is a tiffin, or X is a glass and 5 is a juice here. So now you understand, even the Python is like a student, and if you want to if it wants to store anything, it would require a container to store that. So now you have understood what is a variable. So we will move on to the next one, that is apple. So see here, the second example is the oil of any coconut or sunflower or any oil. So if we put oil directly, it would spill out. So for that reason, what we require a glass jar or a glass cup here. With that help, what we are going to do, our father or mother or our elders would store the oil safely. Or else, if they want to carry this oil from one place to another, they would use this glass jar. In the same way as the Python, the apple, if they want to store the apple, they require a variable as a container. So you can take y as a variable and apple as a string, or else y as a container and this one as an oil. So in the same way, now you have understood what are variables and what it helps in the Python. It helps us to store the values in the same way as if you want to store, or else if you want to carry a lunch box. So what we do, we will carry our lunch in the lunch box. If you want to store or if you want to carry oil, we require a glass or a bottle. In the same way, if you want to store an variable, we require a container like X. And if you want to store an apple, we require a container called Y. So now I hope you have got a good understanding of what are variables. So we'll see, move on to the para. That is, variables are containers that holds a value such as a piece of text or a number. You might remember these for maths class. Variables are powerful because they can be reused and changed easily. So see example, that is, variables are powerful but they can be reused and they can be changed. See here, uh, they can be reused and they can be changed. Think that today I'm carrying my tiffin, that is idli. So in the tiffin box, tomorrow what I would do, I would just reuse that tiffin box. I'm using the same tiffin box to change the menu. So today I'm carrying idli in my tiffin box, and then tomorrow I would carry vada in my tiffin box, and day after tomorrow I would carry chapati in my tiffin box. In the same way, the variables are powerful that can be reused. Reused means we can use it in number of times. So there is no limit. In the same way, when we are using the tiffin box, we are using the tiffin box multiple times to store our tiffin and also change easily. So that means we are changing our menu from idli to vada, vada to dosa, dosa to chapati. In the same way, the variables also works in the same way. So if you want to change 5 to 6, yes, we can change. If you want to change 6 to 7, we can change. If you want to change 6 to 8, we can change. If we want to change 8 to 10, we can be changed. Also, we can reuse this value x for n number of times. we can use x equals to 6, x equals to 7, x equals to 8, x equals to 9, x equals to 10. So now I hope you understand what are variables. So in a simple way, variables are used to carry so variables are used to store a piece of text or number, like our tiffin box and our oil jar. So what is happening, we are actually storing our tiffin and oil. In the same way, the Python would store number 5 and apple in x and y. So just a moment. um, so now you just see the screen and you will understand the example. So now we'll move on to the next slide. Functions. So the next one was, the first one was data types, and the second one was variables, and now the third one, that is a function. So I will explain what is a function. A function is a block of code that performs an action when it is called. So what is a function? A function is a block of code which performs an action when it is called, and you can add arguments to pass data into a function, and a function can return data as a result. So see here below the input and output. So input, we are creating a function, a simple example of cool function. So what we have to print, my cool function prints this phase. Yes, here my function, I'm defining a function and I want to print my cool function prints this phrase. And now here what I'm doing, I'm calling the function. The function was cool function and now I'm calling the function. So what it would do, it would print the output as my cool function prints this phrase. So a function is a block of code which performs an action when it is called. Okay, and we can add arguments to pass data into function, and a function can return data as a result. So I hope you have understood the function, and I will next move on to the next topic. Next slide. That is a loop. So in a short, I will just explain what is a loop. So a loop is a block of code that runs over and over. In Python, there are two types of loops, that are for loop and while loop. So a for repeats a series of commands over a sequence of data, like a list. So I would explain this with a real life scenario. So take that a teacher tells to a student that count from 1 to 10. So what he would do, he would count from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now the student has counted from 1 to 10. The teacher said that tell me the words from A to C. So what he will say? He would say apple, banana or cherry. He would say aeroplane, bat and cat. So in the same way, the Python is fruits equals to apple, banana, cherry. The question is here, take example as fruits apple, banana, cherry is telling that to count apple, banana and cherry. So here For X in fruits, it would print X that. And now the student says A for apple, B for banana, and C for cherry. So once again, I would explain the loop. So once again, I would explain the loop. So example of a student who wants to count from 1 to 10 or A to D, which was given by the teacher. So example, the teacher says that tell me the words which comes from A to D. So the student would do A for apple, B for ball, C for cat, and D for dog. And if the teacher tells to count from 1 to 10, he would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in this way also you can understand the loops. If you tell the loop that loops that print from apple, banana, cherry, it would print the same thing, that A for apple, B for banana, and C for cherry. So just look at the example and then so now I hope you understand what is a loop. See, so once again I will explain that if I want to print apple, banana, cherry, what it will do, it will print A for apple, B for banana, and C for cherry. So I will move on to the next slide, that is a while loop. So a while loop is somewhat different from the for loop. So we'll see what is a while loop. A while loop is a series of commands as long as certain conditions are true. So that means take example of something. So of a real life scenario like that, like if a student was told to count from 1 to 10, but he should check the condition that if he, if a number which is less than 6, you need to stop. Okay, if a number which is less than 6, he should stop. So what he would do, he would count from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it should stop at that condition. So I would give a real life and a very basic of scenario. Take example of your father has given 100 rupees note. So if your father has given 100 rupees note and you want to buy 10 things, and each would cost 20 rupees. So take example, your father has given 100 rupees and you want to buy a biscuit packet, you want to buy a good day biscuit packet, so each would cost 20 rupees. So you want to buy 10 biscuit packets. What you would do, with the first 20 rupees you would buy one, and the next 20 you would buy two, it would become 40, and then with the next 20 it becomes 60, you would buy three, and the next 80 you would buy four, and the next 100 you would buy five. But can you go further? Because you can't go. The thing is, you are having only 100 rupees, but you want to buy 10 biscuit packets. So the total amount of 10 biscuit packets is 200 rupees, but you can only buy 5 biscuit packets. So that means you can understand how a loop works. In the same way, if you want to count from 1 to 10 and to stop at 6, it would print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once again, I would give you the same example of loop with another real life scenario, saying that you are having 5 chocolates in your hand and there are 6 persons. What you will do, you will give first chocolate to the first person, second chocolate to the second person, and third chocolate to the third person, and the fourth chocolate to the fourth person, and fifth chocolate to the fifth person. And when you go to give to the sixth person, what would happen? You won't give because you don't have the chocolates. You are stopping at number 5 itself because you don't have the chocolate to give to the sixth person. So in the same way, a while loop with the condition repeats a series of commands as long as a certain conditions true. So you are having 5 chocolates, but you have to distribute to 6 people. So how would you distribute? You distribute to the 5 people because you are having only 5 chocolates. In the same way, a while loop runs in this way. While I equals to 1, while I is less than 6, print I, and print I plus equals to 1. What it is doing, it would print. So here you can take the number 1 to 5 as chocolates and number 6, I less than 6 as 6 persons. So I is the chocolate and 6 are the persons. So what the I will do, it will give the first chocolate to the first person, and then it would give the second chocolate to the second person, and then it would give third chocolate to the third person, and then it would give fourth chocolate to the fourth person, and then it would give fifth chocolate to the fifth person, and then it stops because there is no extra chocolate for the sixth person. So now I hope you understand how the while loop condition works in a real life basics scenario. So I will move on to the next slide. So here you see, why should kids learn Python? So why should the kids learn Python, and what is important for the kids and students to learn Python? The first point is Python is a beginner friendly language. So what is the first point? The first point is Python is a beginner friendly language. And the second thing is Python is unique in that it's easy to understand even for kids with no programming experience. Yes, even for the kids who has no programming language, they would easily understand the Python. And then we recommend Python for kids because some languages are perplexing combinations of symbols and abbreviations that don't. Because when compared to the C, C++, Java, Python is very easy to learn because there are no syntaxes or no very big lines compared to other languages like C, C++, Java, which are having very complex syntaxes. So now we will move to the next slide. Why should kids learn Python? Yes, we have already seen the first definition. Python is unique in that is easy to understand. even kids with no programming language could uh, learn Python. And then we recommend Python for kids because some languages are some languages use perplexing combinations of symbols and other things, abbreviations, to understand. But here in the Python, that won't be used. And then we move on to the second one, Python, which powers the world's second largest search engine. So where the Python is used in the YouTube. So even the kids from the age of 3 to the age of 60 or 70 all knows about YouTube. YouTube is a video platform that is used to play movies, videos, or anything. So here Python is being built in the with the use of Python. The YouTube was built. Scientists use Python to work on large data sets. Yes, not only kids, not only the programmers, and also the scientists would actually use Python to work with the large data sets. Software engineers build neural networks and other forms of artificial intelligence with this versatile language. Yes, because Python is a versatile language. That means even the school kids, school students, engineering college students, or any developers, programmers, or scientists can easily work and easily understand and easily build any programs using the Python. And then we'll move on to the next slide. So we will see this game, how this game is being built, and you will understand, and I will explain later once again. Let's look at the video.
Hi everyone, it's Zoe from the Scratch team, also known as Zinnia. Today I wanted to show you how to make a jumping game in Scratch. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to make a game like this one, where you can have a character jumping over moving obstacles. We'll do this in 5 steps. Make your character jump, make a moving obstacle, stop the game, add more obstacles, and keep score. Let's get started. So first, let's pick a character and make it jump. You can pick any character you want. I will pick the chick. And let's also choose a backdrop. I'll use the blue sky. To make the character jump upwards, we can use this block, change Y by 10. And if we make it repeat that 10 times, it'll go up really high. Now, we also want it to come back down. To do this, we can change Y by -10. And let's put that in a repeat loop too. Nice. It would be fun for the character to jump when we press the space key, so we can add the when space key pressed block on top, and then we can make it jump with space. We can also enhance the jump by making it play a sound, so we can just add this block, start sound chirp. Nice. Now our character can jump. Next, let's make a moving obstacle so our character has something to jump over. First, let's pick an obstacle. It could be anything you'd like it to be. I'll pick the egg. I'm actually going to make the egg a little smaller by setting its size to 80. You want the obstacle to be a bit smaller than your character, so your character can jump over it. Now, we want our obstacle to start at this side of the screen and glide over to this side of the screen. First, how do we tell the egg to start over here? We can tell it to go to a certain position. With this block, go to X and Y. In Scratch, every position on the stage has a certain number X and a certain number Y. In case it's your first time seeing this, X represents how far your sprite is from this side of the screen to this side of the screen, so side to side, and Y represents how high up your sprite is. So we need to tell the egg to go to this spot right here. Here's an easy way to do that. Just drag the egg to where you want it to go, and then the go to block in the menu over here actually updates to the exact X and Y of that spot. So we can just drag this block out. And then to make the egg glide across the screen, we can use this block, glide to XY, which makes the sprite glide smoothly to a certain place. We want the egg to glide to here, so we can just drag the egg over here, and then this glide block in the menu updates to the X and Y of this spot. So we can just drag that out too, and connect it. And now, the egg can glide across the screen. Now, the egg glided once, but we want more eggs to keep coming. We can do that by putting this in a forever loop. And let's make this start when we click the green flag. Gliding across the screen in just 1 second is a little fast, so let's make the egg take 3 seconds to glide across the screen. Now we can jump over obstacles. Next, let's make the game stop if we run into the egg. There's this block, stop all, that will stop everything in your project. And we can make the egg wait until it's touching the chick. And then if it does run into the chick, have it stop the game. Let's try that out. I'll purposefully not jump. There you go, everything stopped. Oh, and let's fix this problem. Sometimes the chick gets stuck in the air because its code gets stopped when it runs into the egg, but it might not have been finished with its jump, so it's just frozen there. So we can fix this by making the chick go to a starting position when the game starts. So I'll put my chick where I want it to start, and then I will drag out a go to block, which will be set to that X and Y of that spot, and make that happen when you click the green flag. There we go. Now, to make our game even more fun, let's add more obstacles. It's actually really easy to do that. Just right-click on the egg and click duplicate. Now we have another egg with all the same code as the first egg, so it will glide just like the first egg does. Let's try it out. So we can't see the second egg. That's because it's right on top of the first egg. They have the exact same code, so they're gliding at the exact same time. So let's make the second egg wait 1 second before it starts gliding, so that they're spaced out from each other. Now, this looks good, except this egg is just sitting in the middle of the screen while it waits for 1 second. So let's make it hide when the project starts, so it'll be invisible, and then make it show once it's done waiting. That looks much better. And lastly, let's add a score so the player earns points every time they jump over the egg. To do this, let's make a variable. In Scratch, you can use a variable to keep track of a certain number in your project. So I'll make a variable called score, and we'll use it to keep track of the player's score. Every time the player manages to complete a jump, we can increase their score by 1. Nice. And when the player loses and the project restarts, we can set their score back to 0. There we go. That's a jumping game. I hope this tutorial helped you out. There are lots of other things you could try. You could have multiple kinds of obstacles. You could have, once the player reaches a certain score, the backdrop changes, so it's like they went to level 2. I can't wait to see all the things you make. Well, I'll see you next time. And scratch on.
So I hope you enjoyed this video. Now I would explain how the game was being built
Hi
by
everyone,
a school
it's Zoe
girl,
from the Scratch team,
by a school
also known
girl,
as Zinnia. Today I wanted to show you
and
how
it
to
was
make
a jumping game.
in Scratch. By the end of this
So
tutorial,
I would
you'll be able to
explain
make a game like this one,
each and
where you
everything
can
how
have a
the game
character
was
jumping
built
over moving obstacles. We'll do this in
from a
5
very
steps.
basic thing.
Make
So
your
there are
character
5
jump,
steps.
make a
First
moving
one is
obstacle,
make the character to
stop
jump
the game,
and
add more obstacles,
make the
and
moving
keep
obstacle
scoring.
like the
Let's
egg
get started.
or
So
rock,
first, let's pick a character
and
and
then
make it jump.
it
You
would
can pick
the
any
character
character you
should
want.
move up and down,
I will pick the
and then we
chick.
should create
And
the
let's also
scoring.
choose a backdrop.
So first
I'll
here
use the
what
blue sky.
it is
To
doing,
make the
it is
character
taking a
jump
background
upwards, we can
and
use
it
this
is
block,
taking a
change
chick,
Y by 10.
and it is playing
And if we make it repeat
changed
that
by the
10
position
times,
so that
it'll go up
it
really
could move
high.
up and down.
Now, we also want it to come back
This way.
down. To do this, we can change Y by
So
negative
here
10.
the girl is being
And let's put
used
that
to
in a
print,
repeat loop too.
is to place
Nice.
some
It
of
would
the
be fun
coding
for the
so
character
that
to
it
jump
could move
when we
up
press the
and
space
down.
key, so we can add the
So I would
when
just
space
skip
key
this.
pressed block on the screen to this side of the screen, so side to side, and then to make the egg glide across the screen, we can use this block, glide to XY, which makes the sprite glide smoothly to a certain show once it's
So
done
see
waiting.
here, all the code is
That
being
looks much better.
dragged
And
on down.
lastly, let's add a score so the player earns points every time they jump over the egg. To do this, let's make a variable. In Scratch, you can use a
So see here, when the space means pressed, that means the it should start a sound that, and it's the chick should move up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Whenever the chick would touch the egg, it should stop the game. Or else when the chick or any dog it would touch any obstacle, it should stop. So in this way, the girl has built the coding for this. And also there is a score placed
variable to keep track
on
of a
top of
certain
that.
number in your project. So I'll make a variable called score, and we'll use it to keep track of the player's score. Every time the
See
player
here,
manages to
she has
complete a
also
jump,
placed
we can
a
increase
score
their
on
score
top
by
of
1.
that. And now
Nice. And
the
when the
game
player
is being
loses
played.
and the project restarts, we can set their
When
score
the
back
chick
to 0.
touch
There we go.
the egg,
That's a jumping
it
game.
should
I hope
stop.
this tutorial helped you out. There are lots of other things you could
And
try.
also you can
could
see
have multiple kinds of obstacles. You could have,
the score
once the
would
player reaches a
increase.
certain
You
score,
can see
the
at the
backdrop
top
changes, so it's like they went to
bottom
level
left,
2.
the score
I
is
can't
being
wait to see all the
increased
things you make.
after one
well,
jump.
I'll see you next time. And scratch on.
See here. Okay, once again I would play to understand from the beginning.
Zoe from the Scratch team, also known as Zinnia. Today I wanted to show you how to make a jumping game in Scratch. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to make a game like this one, where you can have a character jumping over moving obstacles. We'll do this in 5 steps. Make your character jump, make a moving obstacle, stop the game, add more obstacles, and keep score. Let's get started. So first, let's pick a character and make it jump. You can pick any character you want. I will pick the chick. And let's also choose a backdrop. I'll use the blue sky. To make the character jump upwards, we can use this block, change Y by 10. And if we make it repeat that 10 times, it'll go up really high. Now, we also want it to come back down. To do this, we can change Y by -10. And let's put that in a repeat loop too. Nice. It would be fun for the character to jump when we press the space key, so we can add the when space key pressed block on top, and then we can make it jump with space. We can also enhance the jump by making it play a sound, so we can just add this block, start sound chirp. Nice. Now our character can jump. Next, let's make a moving obstacle so our character has something to jump over. First, let's pick an obstacle. It could be anything you'd like it to be. I'll pick the egg. I'm actually going to make the egg a little smaller by setting its size to 80. You want the obstacle to be a bit smaller than your character, so your character can jump over it. Now, we want our obstacle to start at this side of the screen and glide over to this side of the screen. First, how do we tell the egg to start over here? We can tell it to go to a certain position. With this block, go to X and Y. In Scratch, every position on the stage has a certain number X and a certain number Y. In case it's your first time seeing this, X represents how far your sprite is from this side of the screen to this side of the screen, so side to side, and Y represents how high up your sprite is. So we need to tell the egg to go to this spot right here. Here's an easy way to do that. Just drag the egg to where you want it to go, and then the Go To block in the menu over here actually updates to the exact X and Y of that spot. So we can just drag this block out. And then to make the egg glide across the screen, we can use this block, glide to XY, which makes the sprite glide smoothly to a certain place. We want the egg to glide to here, so we can just drag the egg over here, and then this glide block in the menu updates to the X and Y of this spot. So we can just drag that out too, and connect it, and now the egg can glide across the screen. Now, the egg glided once, but we want more eggs to keep coming. We can do that by putting this in a forever loop. And let's make this start when we click the green flag. Gliding across the screen in just 1 second is a little fast, so let's make the egg take 3 seconds to glide across the screen. Now we can jump over obstacles. Next, let's make the game stop if we run into the egg. There's this block, stop all, that will stop everything in your project. And we can make the egg wait until it's touching the chick. And then if it does run into the chick, have it stop the game. Let's try that out. I'll purposefully not jump. There you go, everything stopped. Oh, and let's fix this problem. Sometimes the chick gets stuck in the air because its code gets stopped when it runs into the egg, but it might not have been finished with its jump, so it's just frozen there. So we can fix this by making the chick go to a starting position when the game starts. So I'll put my chick where I want it to start, and then I will drag out a go to block, which will be set to that X and Y of that spot, and make that happen when you click the green flag. There we go. Now, to make our game even more fun, let's add more obstacles. It's actually really easy to do that. Just right-click on the egg and click duplicate. Now we have another egg with all the same code as the first egg, so it will glide just like the first egg does. Let's try it out. So we can't see the second egg. That's because it's right on top of the first egg. They have the exact same code, so they're gliding at the exact same time. So let's make the second egg wait 1 second before it starts gliding, so that they're spaced out from each other. Now, this looks good, except this egg is just sitting in the middle of the screen while it waits for 1 second. So let's make it hide when the project starts, so it'll be invisible, and then make it show once it's done waiting. That looks much better. And lastly, let's add a score so the player earns points every time they jump over the egg. To do this, let's make a variable. In Scratch, you can use a variable to keep track of a certain number in your project. So I'll make a variable called score, and we'll use it to keep track of the player's score. Every time the player manages to complete a jump, we can increase their score by 1. Nice. And when the player loses and the project restarts, we can set their score back to 0. There we go. That's a jumping game. I hope this tutorial helped you out. There are lots of other things you could try. You could have multiple kinds of obstacles. You could have, once the player reaches a certain score, the backdrop changes, so it's like they went to level 2. I can't wait to see all the things you make. Well, I'll see you next time. And scratch on.
So now I hope you have understood how the game was built. So now for a key reference, I would start from the starting. So our agenda was, what is a computer? What is Python? Why should kids learn Python? What's the best way for kids to learn Python? Utilizing gamification, best Python games for kids, and then other helpful Python activities. So what is a computer? A computer is a combination of hardware and software. What is a hardware? A hardware is an electronic device that is manipulates and also ability to store, retrieve, and process data, and it's also used for type documentation, send emails, games, and browse. And then what is hardware? The parts which we could see, which we could feel, and which you could touch. For example of hardware, that is the keyboard and mouse, and you can take many examples like your CPU, like your speakers, like your joystick, like your CD, like your pen drive, like your mobile phone. So these all comes under the hardware. And then what is a software? A software is a set of instructions that tells us the hardware what to do. That means we are giving some instructions, like the previous video, the little schoolgirl was giving the instructions to the chick to move up and down. So that was the instructions. So in this way you can understand what is software. A software is a set of instructions that tells the hardware what to do and how to do. Example for that is web browser, games, and word processor. So you need to remember one thing, that is a computer relies both on hardware and software. Without hardware there is no software. Without software, having a hardware, that is useless. So we need to have both hardware and software. So the best example for the software is at the right side, that is the Free Fire game, the most played game by the students, and also the most played game, that is PUBG, and all the games that is comes under the software. And another, that is browsers like your Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge. And then what is language? So language is used to communicate and share ideas, opinions with each other. Like example, if you want to ask your friend a book or a pen, you would communicate with him with English so that he could understand and he would return the book and pen. And for the computers, there is a programming language for computers. What the computers would do, if you are a person, if you want to communicate with the computer, you can do by using the programming language. It will understand easily because it was built using the programming language. And what is a programming language? A programming language is a computer language that is used by the programmers or developers to communicate with the computers. Because if the computer has different language and the person is having different language, it is unable to see the files, to store the data, to play the music, to play the game. So there is one common thing that it would allow us to communicate with the computer. So some of the examples for the programming languages are C, C++, Java, and Python. So these are some of the examples of a programming language. And these are the, excuse me, Yeah, these are the few people who mastered the programming language from their school age, from their college age. Now they are the titans in the software world. So first one is Mark Zuckerberg, who built the Facebook from his college days, and the second person is Bill Gates, who built the Microsoft Windows operating system from the early school age, and the third one is Steve Jobs, who is the founder of Apple computers, also MacBooks, iPods, and AirPods, and he started at early college days. So these were the most influential people in the software industry. They were very eager and enthusiastic to learn the programming languages. And then how to learn the Python using the gamification. So that means, so with the game, you can actually learn Python. So if you understand how a game is being built in the Python, you'd easily understand the Python. How the apple comes from top to bottom, how the ball is catching the apple. If the ball is catching one apple, it would increase its score by one. And also if it misses, the score will be stagnant. So that means if the ball catches 5 apples, it would score 5. If the ball catches 10 apples, it would score 10. If the ball would miss the 11th apple, the score will also be 10. So the score will not be decreased. So we'll move on to the next thing, that is the Python. So what is Python? Python is a most widely used user-friendly programming language. Yes, it is an open source, that means it's free of cost, and it is easy to learn, and which is developed in the year 1990, and it's mostly used for the machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data, and graphical based desktop applications and robotics. So these are the advantages: easy to read, easy to understand, easy to write, and it also integrates with other programming languages like C, C++, and Java. Python executes code line by line, so it is easy for the programmers to find the errors. Yes, and it's a platform independent. That means if you want to write the program in one system and if you want to run the program in another system, you can run. So Python is very unique and it's easy for the kids to learn the program without no programming language or no programming background. And then these are some of the 5 core concepts that a children should learn. So what is data types, variables, functions, and loops? A data type is a collection of data that tells the computer compiler to use the piece of code. Though if you see bottom are the data types: integer, float is nothing but decimal, string, and a list means a collection of strings, and a tuple, and the last one is a dictionary, which means a keys and values, and a variable is like a container. So x equals to 5, y equals to apple. So here 5 is being stored in the x and apple is stored in the y. So in the same way, example, like if you want to store or if you want to carry tiffin, you use tiffin box, and if you want to store or if you want to carry oil, you would use a jar to store or carry the oil. So here the glass is x and tiffin box is y, and 5 and apple are the products which you want to store and you want to carry. So function, a function is a block of code that runs over and over. There are 2 types of loops. Sorry, yeah, performs when it is called. So you can see the example of a function which is used to print my cool function prints this phrase. So at the right side you can also see my cool function prints this phrase. So now we'll move on to the loop. A loop is a block of code which runs over and over. So that means it runs for a condition. That means it would move from 1 to 10. It would print up to 1 to 10. It want to print ABCD. It would print ABCD. If you want to print apple, banana, cherry, it would print apple, banana, cherry, and then a while loop, which means, example, you have 5 chocolates and you want to distribute to the 6 children. What you would do, you would distribute up to 5 because you don't have extra chocolates, so you won't be able to distribute that to the sixth friend. So in this way, a while loop which runs up to 5, and then it would stop at 6 because you don't have any more chocolate to distribute to the sixth person. So why the kids should learn the Python? Because it's unique and it is easy to understand. And also Python is a world's most powerful second search language used in the YouTube, and scientists are also work on large data sets using Python, and software engineers build neural network and other things. So this was a game built using the programming languages without any programming language skills. So thank you all. Thank you for making this webinar so successful. So I'm Rahul. I'm from MJIT Mahojase Institute of Technology, signing off. Thank you and have a nice day.